Hey everyone, this is my module 1, discussion 1 post. First question, discuss organizational structures and communication. What are the concepts shared by the authors and what are your experiences in with these concepts? So the organizational structures are, hold on, I need to pull up my little cheat sheet here. There's a lot of different, the structure was how the organization's made up. There's different layouts, different forms in which you had the mutual benefit, the business concern, the service, and the common will organizations, and they all had different aspects to them that made them unique to each other, and how communication takes place, and those is also going to be unique to each other just because of the way they're laid out. Like I said, I haven't had very many experiences with them because I haven't worked in really any of those, aside from maybe like for a prolonged period of time, if that makes sense. So like I haven't really had a bad experience or good experience for that matter. Like if I've worked with one, it's been in a service organization for like a week or two or something like that. So nothing too crazy. How do organizational goals and members impact communication in, around, or within an organization? So I would say the goals definitely impact communication, because if you're setting your goals way too high, and like if your goals are centered on like performance and this and this and performance and like strictly performance, like your employees and subordinates probably aren't going to be as willing to like talk about normal things in business, to where like all they want to talk about is that performance, because that's all your goals are. But if your goals are a balance of performance and leadership goals and organizational goals and all that kind of stuff, like it's going to be more of a good kind of just a good vibe for members of that organization, because they're going to feel welcomed and feel like a team. And that's the biggest thing in an organization. If you feel like a team, normally you're pretty successful. So based on the text, how does the organizational type impact communication and how it occurs? Be specific, cite the text, and share your experiences. So like I kind of said in the earlier question, the organization types are all very different, so those different parts are going to be what cause the differences in communication. The text talked about like flat the hierarchy. I don't really remember how you I don't know how that's pronounced, but with that, like the flat hierarchy, if I remember right, was everyone's pretty level, and they use the example of like a mom and pop diner. Like there's not very many employees, they're all pretty level, and you can easily go talk to the boss because he's working as the chef. But in a big organization such as like a Walmart or something like that, like there's so many different levels that it's harder to have that communication with the top, and you have to go through a lot more steps to get there, and oftentimes it's nearly impossible to get there because of how many steps there actually is. Based on chapter 1, how does the definition of communication differ from or parallel other definitions you've used or been introduced to? So after taking professional communications last quarter, I kind of learned that side of it. And organizational communication is more talking about, at least in chapter 1, like professional was in the business world and interviews and speeches and all this stuff. And organizational, kind of what I'm getting from chapter 1 is like it's more of within like your normal workplace and the conversations you're going to have there, and how to still be, I think you still need to professionally communicate, especially depending on your workplace, but it's almost a little more laid back, and that's probably not the best way to describe it, but yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. Discuss various approaches to organization communication, to wit, which you were introduced. Make what makes sense and what confuses you. How do you think the ways understanding organizational communication can impact how you engage with and understand organizations in organizational life? So the first part of that question is kind of confusing, so I think I'm just going to skip over that. I think that understanding organizational communications simply will make it easier to communicate with organizations and understand like organizations themselves, because you're going to know how to, like, it's almost like learning a new language, right? Like, I can't speak Spanish, so I don't communicate with people who only speak Spanish very well. But if I was to learn Spanish, it's going to be a lot easier to communicate that way. So like that same thing is, if you learn the language that the organizations are speaking and all the terms they use and like how they work, it's going to be a lot easier to understand them. So yeah, that's my discussion post.